Hello and welcome to As Long as Everybody's Having Fun. I'm your host, Mr. Max Bovin, and I'm joined here by Phil the Trill.
How's it going,
Hello, Phil.
Max?
I'm going fine. So it's a
That,
Sunday night edition today, right? Because like obviously yesterday was a Valentine's Day, right?
we did
And
it.
we know that our audience
Yeah.
is full of romantic lover, right? No
hmm
incel in there, so I'm sure you all have dates and stuff like that. So we're gonna postpone the show to Sunday.
Everyone's spending time with their moms
Yeah, or their
or whatever.
special someone. Yeah,
You know, not judging.
yeah,
I got my Tim Pool beanie on today.
yeah.
I'm bald under it. Just as a spoiler.
You look younger
Yeah. I'm so,
with the
I'm
beanie
I'm
on.
I'm sick today, guys. So I got bundled up, but I'm still proactive.
So I am. That's why I got my
Yeah.
zebra cover
The
there,
zebra coat.
keep me a bit of a warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how you been, Phil? Like how's been your gaming week? I
Oh,
kind of know
it's,
how it
it was
went.
good. Yeah, you
I was
were you
there.
were part of it. We did
Yes,
our cow punchers game.
yes.
We have
Two
set
session
to
actually. Yeah.
0.
No, we had session 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I switched characters
between
and
the session
then
1 and session 2. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And I enjoyed the second session more than the first session. I felt
yeah,
way more engagement
yeah.
um because I didn't make a character that was not meant to be with your character. I made a character
Yes,
that
that's
could
like
possibly play with your character.
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I've been talking about it a bit too, right? Like, and even after the show, like I've struggled a lot with being immersed in this game, and I'm trying to figure out why, right? I'm not sure why, and obviously, like I'm not a fan of Western, but that shouldn't keep me from getting engaged because, like, I played in another setting that I wasn't too hot about, right? And I managed to get engaged there. So I'm wondering also like, and it's obviously not Crispy's fault because he did an amazing job, like as always, as a
Agreed.
GM. Yeah, I don't think it's a system fault either because like even though the system seemed to be very heavy on the GM for us, it was fine.
I don't know.
Mm,
I had some fallouts with it wasn't DZD6, so it had that.
yes,
That's a
but we
flaw.
also like it was fairly new too, right? And it's a system a little more complex than EZD6 for sure.
Yeah,
But I think it's just like we didn't have the mastery yet for sure, right? Yeah.
100%. That was definitely a factor.
Yeah.
And when you're struggling with a combat system, it's
Yeah. And I'm wondering, right? Like, is it because of my racism against cowboy that I
yeah.
couldn't get immersed, or is it because this character has been made because we meant to do the domain play and the troop play?
hmm
So this character was made with that in mind, and then when we decided last moment to not do that, then the character didn't feel like he was the right character to be engaged with this family and have like this struggle with the but
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I cannot put my finger on it. Or maybe I'm just falling out of love with the hobby.
Oh no.
That's a possibility. Yeah, could be. Could be.
Maybe. Maybe take a break from the games for a little bit
Or
until you get
maybe
the itch back. You got an itch back. Yeah.
yeah. But I really wanted to try that system and I really wanted to play that game. Now like I was down to do another like, a third session because also like was a lot of like a thing to wrap up. Crispy doesn't seem to want to do it. Uh
Yeah. Yeah,
we'll see about that.
that's true. We'll see.
Yeah.
But that not to bury the lead, we got can I say it? We got Guy Sclanders
Yeah.
as an interview. We already interviewed him a week ago, guys.
Yeah, we like that's something we need to talk about, but we're not on the interview yet. We still have to do the fun important news.
I know, but I
Yeah.
just so excited.
But just before, like just so people know, yes, we did the interview because of Guy is in the
Yeah.
UK and the time zone didn't work. We did the interview last week. So the interview section is gonna be pre-recorded.
Yeah, it's like 3 in the morning for him right now or something.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. So,
So,
there.
uh, but
But anyways, sorry.
to
Fun,
get
important
there,
news. Yeah.
yeah,
Jeez, calm
we
down,
need to get
everyone.
the this week in fun important news.
Mm, yeah.
Uh, I got I don't have that many news this week, but I got a little bit, right? And one I want to talk about, and you know what? I'm even gonna click that. Oh, if I can click that link in a Google Doc document, I guess maybe not because Google Doc is retarded.
Well,
And I said, like, I want to talk about like the a new RPG that is on Kickstarter.
okay.
Yes,
Finally.
that is doing. No, like obviously there's always new RPG on Kickstarter,
Oh, okay.
but this one is doing very well. It's almost at $500,000, 426,000 US.
That should be
They
enough
did
to
pass
write a
the
book.
yeah, and it is the Neopet RPG. You
Wow.
remember Neopet?
Neopet, as in like the
Yeah, Neopets.
digital
Yeah, the digital platform. I put the
pets.
link in for the Kickstarter in the chat if you want to look at it. They were looking for like 40,000 as a goal, so they're already like 10 times over their goal.
Nice.
And I thought it was very interesting to raise that much money for something that I didn't foresee as coming as for all the IP and stuff like that, right? Is it even an
Yeah.
IP? It was a website. So yeah, Neopets
What do you
raking
think?
out a lot of money.
What do you think's a good equivalent? We need to get like a crappy IP that no one really cares about but has a little nostalgia for, and then make a role playing game out of it.
Club Penguin, the RPG.
I don't even know that. I don't know what that is. I think I've
You
heard
don't
of
know
that.
what that is?
No. Is that a
Yeah, but
Canadian thing?
no, it was American thing. It's like obviously it's like it's past my time, right? I'm too old
Oh,
for that, and I'm too old for Neopets. But
what
Tamaguchi, Nicolas saying, yeah, Tamaguchi the
Tamagotchi?
RPG.
That's
There you go. Yep. But
maybe.
a lot of money. They say it's gonna be a classless, skill-based system. I've heard somewhere. What are you laughing?
No, just happy. I really want to know. Really want to know what other mechanics are involved.
Can it
Is
forge?
dice pool? Are we doing dice pools?
I don't think so because like from what I've seen, like there was like some playtest document that came out,
Okay.
and people like complained that it was too much like 5e, D&D 5e, not a new system. But they made some tweak, making it like classless and skill based. They also said like also in the playtest document apparently was only like the combat part, and people said, well, Neopets they were combat, but it wasn't about combat. It was mostly about like puzzle and exploration
Mhm.
and
It's
social
mostly
situation.
it's mostly about fan fiction, and I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't
There are
know.
a lot of Neopets fan fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird to me, right? It's very strange.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's strange to me
I
too.
don't know. I don't know if like if people in chat, like if some people in chat had like played Neopets, like maybe like our younger
Maybe
audience there.
maybe this is the solution to your burnout or your
Maybe, maybe.
yeah, you fell out of love and now here comes this Kickstarter.
Yeah. And
Kismet.
they say that also like in the Kickstarter they talk about puzzles and they talk about mini games and stuff like that, would be very reminiscent
Those are
from the website.
those are two of your favorite things about role playing games.
Yeah, yeah. But that's why I wanted to put it in the news because I thought it was a funny one, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's
I
the beginning of the
mean,
year. They
good
always have
job,
slow news.
I guess. We
Well,
always
good for them, right?
congratulate the successful,
Yeah,
you know.
good for them. Maybe
Yeah.
it's gonna bring a new audience to the RPG hobby.
Well, did it who is like publishing it? Is it like a did they make something else? Do we know anything
Oh,
about that?
I didn't even check that. That's good. That's a good question. Let me check real quick.
Let's take a look.
Geekify Inc. And they created 5 other
Sounds familiar.
Kickstarter. And they created some stuff about the Last Unicorn, Tarot, Oracle deck, and plush keychain.
I
Nothing.
must know them from their
RPG
Flush keychain production line.
RPG dice board, a dice rolling gadget for the modern age,
Yeah, there
but
you
the
go.
funding was unsuccessful for that. So there you go.
They
Uh,
they found their
yeah.
niche.
Now, like it's. no, it's successful. It's not the first one. Like the last unicorn thing had success as well. But
I just watched that movie recently, actually,
yeah,
with my
never
kid.
did.
She was into it.
Oh well.
Yeah, not bad. Classic. I hadn't seen it in
Yeah.
like since the '80s. So, anyways,
The other big element of news, and that's gonna be only a second element of news. Like, so I put the Neopets there for fun. The other thing is like because like start of the year is always a bit slow, but Hasbro had their financial earning calls,
Hasbro. Okay,
the
yeah,
earnings call. Yeah, like yeah, now it's like a little more serious. We know we going back and it's all about the money, all about the dough.
yeah.
So one thing that Chris Cox, the president of Hasbro, talked during the financial during the earnings call is how AI was now successfully integrated to the company, right? And apparently, it's probably going to be like presumably it's probably going to be like in the production and clerical task because he also like precise like he also like specified that AI is not going to be used for creative work, so it shouldn't be used for writing and art, despite them being always
So
caught.
they did use it though.
They
So
did, but now
they're
like
they're pulling back from it.
yes,
Did they
because the
like?
community reacted very negatively,
Okay.
and the piece of art that had been cut being made using AI have been changed, I believe.
Hmm.
And now like and so now like they have like rules against it, and the freelancer are not allowed to use it either.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the whatever OGL.
No,
I
not
don't
the
know.
no no
What is the Mary? Does that apply to those like?
not the third party publisher, the
Okay.
freelancer that because they hire a lot of freelancer for the
Oh, I
art,
see
right?
what you're saying. I see what
They
you're
don't
saying.
have like in-house artists for everything.
Gotcha.
So that's part of the rule.
Yeah. Okay.
Um Another big thing that they talked about is like how they want to push like D&D further toward like a digital first approach. And apparently now 60% of D&D revenue is from the sales of digital product.
I guess.
Hmm?
I guess so. I mean, there's definitely a lot of good services you can get digitally. But I
Well,
know
it's
they're
also
not.
all
I
the
know they're not
PDF too.
charging. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
know they're not charging like a $5 for a PDF. It's going to be like
No.
a full book price. It was
I
crazy to
think
me.
like the standard is like now you pay like half the price of the physical book,
Yeah.
which I think is still crazy,
Oh,
but
is it? I
yeah.
know you had to get like a digital copy of the book for it to work on D&D Beyond. So it was kind of like it's like an extortion. It's like extortion.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you got the physical copy? Can't use it on D&D Beyond.
Yeah, like yeah,
That
there
was
was like
like
a
silly.
yep. But also like they do a lot of like you don't have to buy a full book. You can just buy like this class that is
Mm.
in this
Oh,
book, but
good. Yeah.
yeah,
Piecemeal stuff.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, piecemeal. Yeah. They also want to push D&D to be toward being more like a lifestyle brand. That's also like one of the big goal, right? So that's with the cooking book and with like selling T-shirt and pin and stuff like that. That you know,
That does sound like a corporate decision.
yes, yeah. They also like talk about two D&D TV shows that are in development.
Mm.
One is made by HBO and it's gonna be like a sequel to Baldur's Gate 3. I have a
Okay.
cold, so it's harder to talk to me than normal, apparently, in English. Yeah, so they're gonna do like HBO is gonna do a sequel to Baldur's Gate 3, and the other show is gonna be one by Netflix that is also gonna be set in the Forgotten Realms, but I don't have more detail than that
Interesting.
at the moment. Yeah.
There's
And
so much fantasy TV these days, like the Game of
but
Thrones,
so
the Lord of
little
the
is good.
Rings. Yeah,
Yeah,
like I mean, I'll watch it if it's like based off of. I never played Baldur's Gate 3, but
me neither.
definitely give it a
I
try.
thought I would like it,
Give the show a
but
try. I think
I
that
don't know.
Divinity Original Sin 2 has convinced me that CRPGs are not for me.
Yeah. Like for me, like if it's too modern,
Mhm.
which I assume it will be, I'm gonna lose interest, right?
All right. And another CRPG I used to play or really tried to get into was this one called Tyranny. which was
Yeah,
supposed to be like super good, but I just can't. I think it's just the reading and the dialogue is just not. I can't do it. I'm illiterate. I'm
yeah.
functionally illiterate. It's my problem.
It's for me. It's like yeah. It's like just just being led through a story like very slowly, right? It's
Yeah,
like it's like busy work to make you unlock the next part of the story. The story and the story is supposed to be the reward, and the gameplay is not that good. That's what I don't like about.
yeah. I want to highlight this comment real quick. I also really liked the most recent D&D movie. It was like one of
Yeah.
my favorite theater experiences I had
Oh,
for like a
really?
long time after I would seen it. It's very
Oh.
entertaining. I just like the fun
I
of
didn't
it.
like that. I didn't like the D&D movie. I
Well,
thought it was a good D&D. I thought it was a good D&D movie,
yeah,
like because it was representative like what modern D&D is in a
it is.
sense.
It was very much poking fun at tropes a lot,
Yes,
which I liked.
but I thought the right like if you just like take it out of like the if you just take it as a movie like
Hmm.
without like the context of being a D&D movie, I think the writing was poor and the acting wasn't great and I didn't like the look that much.
I don't know. I don't think you have to. I think you can enjoy your IP and pay respect to it and
Yeah. The only
have that
positive
be
point
part of
was
the
what's her name? Michelle Rodriguez.
problem. Michelle Rodriguez is great. She's great.
What?
She's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Still got it. And the last thing that I'm gonna highlight from this earning call that I thought was relevant to us is that the Hasbro revenue increased by 14%, and that was mainly driven by
Okay.
WotC. That the WotC revenue increased by 45%.
Do you think Hasbro is how much do you think of its assets is WotC, like earning potential?
Um,
Like
it's about
I genuinely have no
more than
idea.
half. It's like 56% of Hasbro revenue is WotC,
Yeah, I guess they got like
if I recall correctly. And
Monopoly. They
at
got a
some
lot of
Monopoly Go is the other big one.
yeah.
Monopoly Go is making a lot of money from that. It WotC used to be 70% of Hasbro revenue,
Oh,
but now since Monopoly Go launch, that took a part as well.
yeah.
Their toys division is still diminishing. They lost like 5% this year, if I recall correctly. Now, like I have to talk out of memory, so take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And the WotC share of the revenue is $2.7 billion, and I think one about because, like I said, I don't have the number in front of me now. I just like to have some notes. And 1.7 million of that, 1.7 billion of that is from Magic the Gathering. And I know that they talk about like the Avatar Last Airbender set that did very well apparently. But
Yeah, that's a pretty good magic thing, I guess. I think anything outside of the real setting is a mistake, but whatever.
yes,
At
I think
least
as
it's
well.
like adjacent.
Yeah. And now I know that they're doing more thing with Marvel, also like coming from to Magic.
Yeah.
And there was another one also that was quite outrageous, but I forgot what it was now. Something like stupid again. Star Trek. Star Trek's coming to Magic as well.
I don't want to talk about it. Let's get it started here, man. Let's start the
All
show.
right. So that was the news, and
Yeah.
now I guess we're gonna go straight to the video, and we'll mute ourselves, and we'll be in chat.
Yeah.
But that's it. I'm just gonna play it, I guess. There
Right
you go.
on. All right. Well, I'm very happy to introduce, very honored to introduce Guy Scland. Is it Sclanders or Slandlers? We had this discussion earlier. I apologize, Guy. Maybe we should cut this out.
I should apologize. My surname comes from 3 different countries and
Yeah.
is pronounced differently in all 3. So you're okay.
I could have sworn I heard you say on a video Schlanders, but there's no H.
No, there's no H. There used to be when it was a German origin, but it is a hard C, so Sclanders.
Sclanders.
There you go.
All right.
So
Max was right using reading.
using reading. Yeah, it's not something I'm very great at, but
memory was incorrect.
Yeah, no.
All right, I apologize. Should we start it over or just keep rolling? Let's
Keep
start it
rolling.
over. Okay. I'm
Keep
happy to
rolling.
introduce Guy Sclanders. I'm very honored that he would grace us uh, as long as everyone's having fun. But Guy Sclanders, face of how to be a great GM. He's been a huge influence on me specifically, but his channel is a monster. It's got like over 32 million views now. He's launched several successful Kickstarters and just started bringing the channel back with Castlemen, which is kind of a cool chill stream. I would say I like hanging out in there. And yeah, just super gracious to give us some time and here to let us know how to be a great GM, which I'm eager to learn from you, Guy, at the feet of Guy Sclanders. How
My
you
goodness.
doing, Guy?
What an intro. Thank you. It's my honor to be here. I'm really, really, really pleased to hang out with you guys and talk all things gaming. So thank you for having me.
I don't
Thank you
know
for
if
being here. Like you're very like one of the first big channel on YouTube that talking about role playing game. Like you started like early in the. There was always like a bit of a presence there from the beginning, right?
Yeah, I've been going
platform.
for a long time. There are a few channels that are still going from that time, but not many. Not many.
Mhm.
I think Nerdarchy is one of the few other ones that's been going since before 2017, I think.
the before time.
Yeah, the before times, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I've actually met you at a Gen Con once.
Really? Oh my
yeah,
God.
it was the one right before COVID or two.
That's right. Must have been.
But yeah, I met you there. We were staying at the same. Well, it was the Con Hotel, but obviously so it was cool to meet you there. Anyways, I'm a huge fan. I got your Kickstarters. I just sort of boast.
Well, wow, the original.
This one I used. It was like you launched it, and I was doing a pirate game. I was like, oh my God, Guy's in my brain. He's beaming stuff into my brain. The Sea Elves in this, by the way.
Right.
Huge fan.
Oh, thank you.
And then I got the reboot of it.
Oh,
and then I
wow.
got this Epic Locations one is. Oh wait, it's not my green. My green.
It's all green. Yeah, there we go.
This one, the nature one, and then the battle mats.
Right.
I only got the one copy of the balance. I'm not doing the side-by-side battle mats, guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
But big fan. I got one of them signed, by the way. I got that one signed for me.
Well, there we go.
So,
there we go.
There you go.
big fan.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Let's get in the interview per se. Like,
Okay,
you know, like you put like, let's talk fun, right? That's what we're here for.
Like so giddy. It's like I'm eating Beatles over here. All right. So, anyways, I could probably do maybe 20 videos with you talking about different concepts that you brought up and how to be a great GM. So I was forced, like a kid in a candy store, to pick. They said, all right, Phil, you can pick 3. I was like, okay, I'll try my best. So one of the biggest things I tend to get, I'm a humble guy, I tend to get a lot of compliments for my NPCs. And I wanted you to know that you are the godfather of my NPC style with the OGAS strategy. I know it evolved into COGAS. I might have missed that train. I don't know what happened. There's like a C, I think it's color. I don't know what the second S is. So I was just wondering, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I was wondering if you could just like enlighten the rest of these peasants about this awesome style for reactive GM.
So, yes, OGAS was a shorthand for reminding myself on how to create NPCs that were just a little bit more than cardboard cutouts for players to interact with. And COGAS was a extension of that. So it's still the original OGAS, but as you say, there's an additional C and there's an S at the end. And the C stands for color. And that doesn't mean as in the skin tone of the creature. If the orc is green or lime green or dark green, it's in terms of giving the character some color, something unique, some kind of quirkiness, something that sets them out. So it could be they have shocking white hair, or they have this bronze skin tone, or it could just be that they're wearing a dramatically bright cape. But
Can also be like
oftentimes,
I guess it probably gonna also be like some mannerism, right, or some habit,
Like the Vader's breathing. You've brought that up in certain videos.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly can be. I think one of the other reasons that I use the term color is because oftentimes when you are describing NPCs, if your players are not paying a huge amount of attention, they will pick up on certain things. And it's certain things that are easy to remember. So if you introduce the elf who always wears purple, that will stick around. You might give that elf some quirks. You might give them an occupation. You might give them a whole bunch of other things. But the players will remember the purple, right? Oh, it's the purple elf. Oh, what does he do again? And then that kind of triggers them to remember that, oh, he's the blacksmith, or he's a this, or et cetera, et cetera. So by giving a familiar kind of base starting point, it helps sort of entrench. And then the last S stands for sexuality. And that really came about just because there are so many memes out there of bards seducing. And there were so many people saying, oh, I've got this character who just has a base plus 10. Or there's certain bard builds that if you roll anything other than anything below a 10, it's just a 10. Right. So persuasion skills and deception things. And it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to. And I went, well, that's great. But if you try and seduce this person, and they're just not into you or your gender or your species, they're just not into you. And there's nothing you can do. There's no amount of words that will convince someone to change their mind.
And so it's a sneaky, can the bard seduce this or not?
It kind of came out of that, but it also came out of the idea of be more inclusive, because it makes your world more interesting, right? And so that just was an extra reminder to yeah, sure, this is for bards, but at the same time, hey, why not have a princess who's in love with another princess? Why does it have to be this way or that way? And it was useful to add in to challenge GMs, because I had a lot of GMs who would come in and they'd say, well, I want to be inclusive, but it doesn't enter into my mind when I'm creating NPCs because I don't think along those lines at all, right? And you go, well, that's fair, but that's what Kogas is designed to do. It's designed to give you a framework that will just prompt you every now and again. So if we add on an extra S, it ain't going to hurt anybody. Maybe you use it, maybe you don't use it 90% of the time, but it is still there just to remind you.
Yeah. And then also I think we're from like a sexuality is, you know, let's be real, like it's a huge driver of like, it's a huge motivation for people to do stuff in life, right? Like how many like story we heard about like people like failing because they get seduced or because they have a crush on somebody and then they're gonna do something horrific. They're gonna go above their principle and their passion or whatever their goals is because like they got some draw somebody for some reason.
Think about a story, like very rarely is it asexual. Like
yes.
But in role-playing game, we're oftentimes a bit uncomfortable about that. Not me, because like I'm French weirdo, but
yeah, I mean the big argument, people go, oh, we definitely shouldn't have anything to do with anything below the belt. And you're like, I'm not advocating that you need to go and run an adults only role-playing game. If you look at most of the Disney movies, they're all about boy falling in love with girl and boy doing whatever he needs to do to get girl. That's a fundamental human narrative. At no point are we going anywhere deep and dark and R-rated. It's just a motivator.
It's a huge element of the human experience, and if you take it off the table completely, well, you're always gonna have a character that feel a bit cardboard cutout, right?
Yes.
We talk a lot about verisimilitude of the world, and like just having a totally passionless world would be constrained.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be such a wonderful thing too. You know, I've got a game that I run on Wednesdays where the one player is playing a Warforged character, right? So they're a construct, and they're dealing. They joined the city guard, and they met this character in the city guard, and there was just an opportunity for there to be a little bit of a romantic spark. And so these two, it started off just as a little innocent thing. And then throughout the entire adventure, these two are just trying to sneak off to have a first date. And they can't do it because they're getting close to, they meet up and they're like, okay, great. Now we're going to go and have some sandwiches, or they snuck out onto a rooftop so that they weren't going to get interrupted. And the joy was, as they were doing that, they'd split the party. The other party members were doing other things and interrupted the date by having the ship of the local lord be consumed by a kraken. And they're like, well, we can't finish our date because kraken, you know, so, but it became such a wonderful thing. And then when the adventure ended and they had saved the day, they're like, oh, we can now go on this date. And that was the climax of the adventure. That was the ending of the adventure that made them all happy, was that, hey, Warforged gets to go on his first date with a real human being. And you know, we don't ever see what happened on that date, but that became just this, this little extra flavor, which would not have been there as a result. So.
Something that we advocate a lot over here is like more of a reactive style. That's why we got merch. But not really. It doesn't exist anymore, or whatever. But like, I think that how to create epic campaigns is very much like, I am scripting this thing to happen. I know you described it as like these big stepping stones, and then it's how they get to them along the way. I've heard you describe it that way. But it seemed like later on in your channel, you started kind of really delving into just like pure reactive almost. I remember one video you talked about this road trip you went on, and it was like, it's like, hey, let's role play. And then you said something like, okay, you guys are running down a corridor. And then it's like, it just started from there. It's like, oh, now it's being flooded. There's something chasing us. We're in a fantasy world now because this is my class. And it's like, everything was just being spontaneously created. And I'm wondering, like, kind of where you're at now as far as like, where do you enjoy GMing the most? Like, what is what kind of games do you like to run the most, I guess?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I have definitely shifted away from trying to create these big narrative moments and not planning on how to get the characters to those moments, kind of just having them in my head and letting them explore and shifting those moments around to ending up where they are. I've moved away from that a lot, and now it's more a case of I start the whole thing with an idea, and then it just goes, and it's like, let's see where we end up. Let's see what happens. The villains, the big bad is 100% reactive to what the players are doing, and if they don't do anything to involve the big bad, I don't carry on with the big bad's plan to destroy the world, and suddenly the player's world blows up and they go, well, what happened? It's like, well, you didn't follow, you didn't do this and that.
Do you remember that hook 10 sessions ago?
Right, exactly. You didn't follow it, so now the world blows up. What would be the point, right?
Yeah.
So that is definitely where I am. At the moment, I'm running a lot of like convention games and things like that, where you're either on a fixed time scale, so then you have to have a more structured approach, because you can't just leave it open and go, oh, well, we'll come back next week and we'll sort of see where we go, which is what you can do with home games. So that kind of forces you back into thinking of, right, this needs to happen, and that needs to happen. Like just this morning, I was running a game. It was such a sweet kind of game. It was this boyfriend and girlfriend. They've been dating for a while. He's been playing D&D forever. She wants to get into it. So he's like, okay, cool. Well, we'll they hired me for a game. And their briefing was they wanted to do something that a couple could play together. And you're like, okay, any more to your briefing? Nope, just that's it.
Yeah.
That's a D&D game that a couple could play. It's like, okay, great. And, you know, I went in going, I don't know anything about them. I don't know what their gaming style is, anything along those lines, but I needed to give them some kind of experience.
Mhm.
So all I did was come up with a weapon. I was like, okay, cool. There's this trebuchet that can fire 1,000 goblins over a distance of 3 miles and they land safely. It's going to be used as an invasion tool, a preemptive invasion tool. And that was it. And my thinking was, if the guys want more combat heavy stuff, then they're going to be involved in a military operation to destroy this trebuchet. If they want more riddle kind of stuff, then maybe they can figure out how they need to disable, you know. So I gave myself as many different potential paths as possible, and then sat down with them and had a conversation with them literally before we started gaming. You know, what's your favorite genres of TV shows? What do you like to watch? What do you like this? What do you like that? And I always do this thing of, we'll rate combat, social interactions, and mystery solving and adventure. Those four, put them in order of what you would like to play the most. And they put combat right at the bottom. It was social, puzzles, adventure, and then combat.
The dream.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. So this is what we're going to do, you know. And they had to pretend to be goblins. They got given these amulets, and then they had to infiltrate and figure out what was going on by interacting with the goblins and that sort of thing. And they had a blast. So.
Does your approach change a lot to a game when you're getting hired? Because like you mentioned that, like, in something that's always interesting for people, like the paid GM gig, when you get hired versus when you just like play with your normal group of friends, right? I'm a big advocate of, like, you know, the GM, you're also a player, you're also there to play a game with your friend, you're also there to have fun.
Yes.
But when you become at some point like a service provider, does that change the...
Absolutely. We were trying to define what makes a professional GM versus someone who GMs for their friends. And the biggest thing is that mind shift of, you are now an entertainer, and that's your job. You have to provide entertainment, regardless of whether you are being entertained or not. You have now been paid to entertain other people. And I think that is where a lot of people who want to try and become professional GMs, they miss the mark, because they're going to run their game their way, because that's what they do with their friends. That works for friends. It doesn't work for people who've handed over their cash and who want to play a game where they have all the power, or they don't have it, you know, whatever the game situation might be. But I think it also goes beyond that nowadays with, you know, we're seeing in the professional space a lot more pre and post care as well. Developing characters, developing character backstories, and that sort of thing. My home games, if I've got people playing, they know what I like. They know the more effort they put in, the better it's going to be. But I'm not going to be there nudging and pushing and sort of supporting. Whereas if I'm hired, you get the full package, and I'll be there, and I'll answer all your questions, and there'll be a lot more hand holding and that sort of thing. So from a playing perspective, it is very different. I still personally really enjoy running for other folks. Yes, I'm not able to just sit back and relax and forget about stuff. But the personal pressure of being able to run a game and to make it fun and make it as customizable as possible for the players, that I really enjoy, because then it's a mental puzzle. It's like, okay, well, I see they're responding to that. Let's lean more into that. Yeah.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with what we talk about sometimes. It's like where the game master becomes a service provider when the players are not being proactive, and they're just kind of waiting to be fed the story, and then they can react to it.
Yes.
Versus, and then like the GM is kind of forced to, like, okay, what's going to make you interested now? Whereas like a very proactive, interested player, you're able to kind of like be the setting as a character, be like the other
Yes.
NPCs with a character.
When you're a proactive player, you chase your own fun in a sense, right? You
Yes.
drive the plot where what's going to be interesting to you, and
Yes.
that's also something like that's something also I appreciate when, despite your channel being how to be a great GM, you also have video about how to be a great player. And I think that's oftentimes like a side of the equation that is missed, right? Because
Yes.
a lot of like honest is put on the GM, like to make the game good and stuff like that. But as a player, when you show to the table, you also have responsibility. I guess also like in the paid gig,
It's
maybe
kind of
also.
like I'm a math teacher. It's just like when you hear kids go, "Oh, they can't teach." It's like, meanwhile, you're sleeping in my class. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like the whole. There is a little bit of onus on you guys to actually make it engaging. You're never going to be. You have to have the interest for it to be interesting.
And I think that also leads on to why people who run games at home as GMs will suffer from burnout.
Exactly.
Because they don't realize they're carrying the whole group and they're actually doing a job. Whereas the rest just show up, eat pizza and forget to take notes and play and just wander around. And you're like, sure, but your GM should be allowed to do exactly the same thing. But if you're expecting the GM to keep everything cogent and cohesive, well, you got to do the same. You absolutely have to do the same.
And I also think like it put like this barrier to entry, because like people see like this role of GM like sacrosanct and like, oh, you have to do all this work and stuff like that. And I think like and then people don't dare to make the jump, right? I'm talking with a friend now that never GM before, and I'm trying to push him to do it, and he's so stressed about it. I said, hey, man, you're just like playing a game with your friend. If it's not good, we're not gonna hate you for it. It's no big deal. You don't need to stress so much about it. We're just trying to have some fun, right? And you'll get better at it by doing it at some point, right? Yes, you can watch a million advice video on YouTube, but if you never do it, like people want to do it, like want to be like top tier GM from day one, it's not gonna happen.
Absolutely. I mean, they want to be top tier, or they think everybody expects them to be top tier.
Yes.
And you're like, well, sorry, like everything in life, if you don't practice, you're not going to get any better.
And I honestly think that a game hinges more on its players, than the GM. If a player is really actively getting involved versus waiting to be entertained, then the game's going to be like 10 times better. I often say that the player is like the ceiling of the game, where the GM is like the floor of the game. And so, like, to get a really, really good game, you need really strong players.
Yes. Yes.
I
think that's a good analogy. Yeah.
One thing you mentioned also in your video, like I forgot which one it was, but like you mentioned also like that and you just mentioned it a bit too now, like you get the ball rolling and then you don't know where the plot's gonna go. You moved away a bit from that, maybe like having those big narrative, like that's something I really appreciate. Because, and for me, and you can tell me if you see the same thing as well, like for me, like when I'm GMing, I want to be surprised because I'm also there to play a game. And that's part of like, that's the activity we're doing there is like, well, let's find out. We have this world. We have this premise of the world. We have those characters. Let's find out what's going to happen. For me, that's the juice of the game.
Absolutely. And that's the part where you're role-playing, because it's a role-playing game, as you're sitting there and you're like, well, my villain was planning on destroying the castle with this device. The player characters have now destroyed this device. Well, what is the villain going to do? What am I going to do now? Whereas if you've pre-scripted, or if you have these preconceived ideas, you're now trying to figure out how to get to this next point as a oh, well, the villain needs to just have a giant army because that was my act 2 was giant army. Where does that come from? And that becomes problematic. Whereas if you change the mindset and you're like, I am the villain, my big device has just been destroyed. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to raise an army. But how am I going to do that? Oh, I'm going to go and talk to my buddy, the ice, giant, and see if I can convince them to join. Okay, cool. Well, off you go to do that. And that gives you a whole bunch of adventures. So instead of having to try and figure out how to get to a point, you are just role playing. And that's so creative,
Yeah. And the way you say it, like it's like those. It doesn't just happen by magic. Like those thing that thing can happen in the world, can happen in the campaign and stuff like that. But they have to happen through the mechanism of the world. They have to happen
Yes.
like there need to be like systems supporting that. So yes, like
And
you
just
said, you're role playing those villains.
just to kind of tie that back to what we're talking about with player interest. Um, when you have all that prep and it's like, okay, tomorrow, next week's adventure is this device does this, then it's like the players will start bumping into you, shoehorning in like the stuff that you need to happen. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm hitting the invisible wall and now I'm uninterested. And so then it just like plummets the game because I think everything hinges on this like resource of player interest. And if it's strong, then you'll have a really good game. But if it's like people are just checking out, the game just falls apart.
And this is when you could, if you serving your plot point, no matter what I do, no matter the choice I make, I'm just gonna check out and wait for the next combat when now I can make choice.
Yes.
Now
Absolutely.
I can get engaged. Now I can finally play a game, right? But like this dichotomy between the role playing game, I say role playing is the game, and like those choices you made and like figuring out what's gonna happen, that's a game element in itself. It's not like the game element is not just rolling dice and moving pawn on the map.
Yeah.
It's also like the improvisation.
The other thing that I took from your channel, or one of the other things that I took from your channel, is this idea of limitations further creativity. They enable the spontaneous creation. So it's like, and then also you kind of tied that into this idea of like a 3-act structure. 3-act structure has certain beats in it. And so if you're here, then this is the type of stuff you should be putting in because it makes sense for the story. Tone is going to flavor my spontaneous creation, all these things. So it's like you have all these like limitations. It's almost prescribed what your reaction's going to be just based on like a small amount of prep. I just think that's super clever, and I highly recommend it. I've still tried to push the idea of a 3-act structure on these guys. I'm like, because well, first I want to give you a chance to respond to that. Is that kind of how you are sticking with that kind of model, like in current?
Absolutely. When you have choice, you have no choice, because you cannot choose if you have everything to choose, right? So your limitations are not restrictions, they are not shackles, they are narrowing of your focus so that you can then go, okay, well, if this is the act that I'm in, if I'm in Act 2, we shouldn't be getting to the giant climax. We should still be discovering things about the bad guys. We should be discovering things about the heroes. We could be introducing a subplot at this point. We could be introducing a romance. These are the things that I could be doing.
Yeah.
And so if I need to come up with something, I'm coming up with something within that context, rather than coming up with something within no context whatsoever, no limitations whatsoever. So I definitely personally still use that, and will lean back and go, if the game is only 4 hours long, I'm going, we're in hour 3. I, in terms of what happens next, really should be moving us into the climax. We really should be moving into Act 3 and the big showdowns. My people haven't moved out of Act 1 yet. They're still trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So I'm going to skip all the middle bit and just try and get to some kind of big showdown, some kind of thing. Now, what can I look at in terms of what do I need to do to get there? Do I need to introduce an NPC that's going to lead them? No, don't go all the way through the castle as I had planned. We're going to go through the servants' entrance because I hate the bad boss because he once shortchanged me.
Yeah.
Right. So you still get to a satisfying ending because you've been limited on what you can choose from.
That's one problem. I could never do it. You can't say never, but it's like the timing, the idea of like a clock. It's like, okay, it's Act 2 time now. I just like, okay, I guess this isn't a one shot. This is 3 sessions now. That's
sure.
But I guess like if you're doing a convention game, there's no way to really do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it just feels like, okay, setting and characters have been introduced. This is an Act 1 where I need to introduce the push or the conflict now. And so we talk a lot about reactive gaming, I watched a video that you did a long time ago recently about the idea of acting and reacting controls pacing. And I think that's really smart, because that's kind of what I'm struggling with now. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, we talk about pure reactive gaming, but then you have these things called pushes, where it's like you will insert something because the action's kind of slowing down. And I think that kind of reflects what you were talking about. But it's like, it seems like Act 1 is always the first push. You know what I mean? It's always like, okay, this is happening. Now you have to deal with it, Act 2. And then, I don't know why I brought that up. I thought I had a question at the end of that, but I didn't.
Sometimes you just got to explore, and you get to the end and you go, okay, well, sure, we've explored it. There was nothing exciting there. So everyone roll initiative, because the building explodes, right?
Yeah.
And
anyway. Sometimes you got to blow up a building. And the idea of like all these like restrictions, if everything makes sense, it's like nothing makes sense. You have to, something has to make sense. There has to be context. Context just makes everything
It's also like, yeah, you really need to pay attention to the push-pull between like player and GM, right? Like if the player are pushing the plot, the action forward a lot, you don't have to pull as much as a GM.
Absolutely.
But it's when they're in a lull, when they're directionless, they don't know what to do, they're stumped. That's why, okay, let me give you some work there. Let me give you some pull, right? We call them push. We should call them pull, really. Just think about that.
But I think the idea is you're right in terms of, as the GM, you must be watching for what the players are doing. And when the players they're in an action state, and by action state I mean they are the ones making the decisions, and they might be having a discussion, and they are talking themselves around a plan. And I have seen this happen so many times, where players like, okay, we're going to make a plan, and they start making a plan, and then they convince themselves that they're not going to succeed in that plan because of 17 other things that they introduce. And then they start dealing with those other things, but then they come back to the first plan, and then you're like, guys, you're stuck in an infinite loop of not actually solving this thing. So they have the action, but they're not actually doing anything. They're not going anywhere, and they are bogging themselves down. So you have to react as the GM and say, okay, I need to interrupt this somehow. Maybe there's an NPC that arrives, or the building explodes, or whatever.
Do you then because one thing that we're big about here, like, it's like staying in character as much as you can, as much as possible, right? And the planning, like, I don't want my players to plan around the table. I want the character to plan, right?
Yes.
And not only when they plan, so they have to speak in character and like act as the character and plan as the character, like, do what your character would do. But it also means that the time in the world keep going.
Yes.
We're not in pause mode. I think that's, would you say like that could solve a lot of this thing, right? Those loops.
Also, you're planning with a hothead barbarian that's recklessly ready to go. Yeah, stuff's gonna happen. Stop talking.
Yes, I mean that is. I have had many players like that. They're like, okay, they're just talking, and I'm going to move out. I think again, that's looking at if you have strong players who are going to run their characters, right? And who are going to run their characters honestly, in terms of, if I'm playing a nervous cleric, I don't want to follow any plan that isn't absolutely airtight. But that cleric might then be causing the whole conversation just to dead end, because they just keep blocking every option that is coming up. I think that when you are in that, as the player, when you're in that kind of deadlock, you can't see a way out because you're still trying to solve the deadlock. Whereas as the GM, you're sitting back, you are not invested. You've listened to what they're trying to do. There is that option of being able to just step in and I'm a big fan of occasionally
with 1,000 goblins.
or just like in this morning's game, occasionally just going, hey, just make an insight check for me. And the player makes an insight check, and you go, well, what that character said rings true with you, right? So it's almost just nudging, throwing in your vote as the GM into this collective pool of committee decision making. And sometimes they don't pay any attention. So then, yes, you just throw 1,000 goblins at them.
That you kind of brought this up offhand, but another thing that I highly recommend, just everyone needs to go watch every one of Guy's videos, like, and then share it with all of your extended family immediately. But this other video that you made, like, pretty much is the core of my philosophy for player characters too, is this idea of these archetypes where it's like you have the guardian and and you just have this like stereotypical way of treating every scenario, and then eventually story happens and you develop a personality. It's Guy puts up this video, it's like it's like 12 archetypes or so. I don't even remember how many it is, but
9, 10. Yeah. Well, there's 9 positive ones, and there are a couple of negative
ones. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a great video too. Anyways, guys, watch Guy's videos for God's sakes.
How do you feel about those kind of negative, like kind of like? Do you think they're disruptive in groups? Do you like Phil and I often play like characters that are at odds with each other, and that we have a lot of tension often time in our game. But we like this,
like loner, and I forgot what the other ones.
Yeah, so the negative ones are, yes, loner is one of the big ones, but there's a difference between playing characters who are competitive with each other or who really benefit each other by being antagonistic with one another. So it forces each one to be better, that whole song of I can be better than you type of thing. But it's that they're still moving forward. So if you look at like Legolas and Gimli, where in the films where they've got that whole, I've killed 5, I've killed 10, I've killed 15. It's a rivalry, but it is a rivalry that pushes them both forward. When you have the loner who just refuses to work with anybody else and constantly goes off on their own, that's a negative sort of personality choice, because these are all choices that we're making. We're always choosing the characters that we're playing. And it doesn't allow anybody else to interact with that space.
Yep.
And so that mode of playing, I think, is very destructive. It's the same as the chaos causer who will try and pickpocket the king whilst the players are busy talking to the king, where you go, this is not helping make the game entertaining for everybody. It's making the game entertaining for you.
Let's put the Lord of the Rings analogy in there. Which one is Gollum? Gollum's like running around with these ring guns.
Well, I mean, in terms of his personality type, Gollum is incredibly self-centered. He's definitely a loner, but he's not written as such. There are many times where Gollum could have just walked away and let Sam and Frodo die and then gone back to get the ring. But that wouldn't have served the story. It probably would have been a bit more accurate in terms of how Gollum works.
Just ready with a big rock and all time.
Right, absolutely, right. But the story was more interesting where he was playing and he was having this conflict of, I'm a loner, but maybe I can help them get there. I've given my word. So there was a reason for him to be a loner, but still work with the group. So you can play right?
Gollum is like he's like an addict, right? He's obsessed with the string, but in the same time, like maybe there's a part of him still that would want to get rid of it and get better.
Sure, and have friends again and be accepted again. A lot of the characters in Lord of the Rings are loners. I mean, Strider or Aragorn was, I've exiled myself, right? And I'm denying the love of this elven maid because I don't want her to sacrifice. So there was a lot of loner activity going on. But
he did sit in the corner with a hooded cloak on.
Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, but the intention was to work together as a group. When the intention is to not do that, that's when you have a problem.
And I think like a lot of those problematic archetype, right? Like that are disruptive to the game, or the chaos goblin, right? The guy that just want
Yeah.
like derail the game for no reason. Like I think a lot of it is like verisimilitude. Like I
Mm.
often say that the number one priority of the GM is to preserve verisimilitude, but that's a priority that's also shared with the player.
Yes.
Like the player also have like a role in that, and your character need to have a reason to be with those other guy, to be an adventurer, to
Yeah.
be like, and the other guy also need to be to have a reason to tolerate your character, right? And I'd say
Exactly.
like, well, if you're acting like a maniac that nobody would want to hang out around, right? Those other characters should kick you off, and then that's
Yes.
your character is gone now, you know. And if
Yes.
you bring another character again, and if it keeps always the same model, well, we're gonna keep kicking you out until like we kick you as a player in the end, right?
We're going to
Yeah.
develop a vetting process from here on for new
Yeah.
adventurers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
a lot of those things, like you know, you want to play an actual character. You don't want to play necessarily a gimmick. You don't want to play like, and you
Mm.
know, that comes with conflict, that come with depth, that come with like goals, and that's also something you talk a lot in your video that I appreciate quite
Mm.
a bit, right? Like you mentioned sometimes, like I'm just playing a character sheet. I say, well, I think if you that's what you do, you're kind of missing something of the hobby,
Yes. Absolutely.
which lead me to my one of the questions that I love to ask all my guests, like because we all have limited time for free time, hobby time, and stuff like that. And I'm always interested to know, why do you choose to spend this time playing RPGs, TTRPGs, rather than playing board game, doing sport, or playing video game, or singing, or doing some other stuff, right?
By the way,
What
great
draw you to
role
this
playing
hobby?
or great board game collection. If you ever see the
Yeah.
back of it. It's
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously we share our time, like I do too, right? We
Yeah.
share our time with other hobby as well, but like we always a lot of us invest a lot of time in this hobby in specific,
Yes.
and we always come back to that. So there must be something that we find here that we don't find out, and
Yes.
that's what I'm interested in knowing.
Yeah. Even all of these board games, even if I'm playing chess, I'm still role playing. I will invent stories. The queen sacrifices the pawn because although she seduced him briefly, she's only using him to get to the bishop and the knight. And I have always told stories. That has always been my passion, I guess, is to create something that never existed before, and to be able to explore it and unpack it and derive a sense of satisfaction and creative discovery as well, because it's not something that has been done before. And so when you look at it as a hobby, it's like, and now I get to sit down with a whole bunch of other people, and we are collectively creating real memories of something that didn't happen in real life. But I can still remember these key moments from the first game I played as a 10-year-old that are still as vivid today as they were, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. That terror of this carrion crawler bursting out of a well, or finding that dagger up the chimney, it's a real experience that I couldn't have had on my own. I had to have friends around with me, and I still remember those people, and we had to work together. So there's so many layers of creative confluence that creates these moments, and I think that that's just magical. I couldn't do anything else without trying to tell a story, without trying to make it more. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
I
It does.
100% agree. I love the collective storytelling. I mean,
Yeah.
can't do it any other way.
yeah,
But I think like the collective aspect, like, and you touch on that in your answer, because if you would just say like, oh, I like creating story, we could say like, well, go write novels, right?
yes,
But
yes,
you're right. The collective, the fact that they're collective, and that you only are like part of control of the story, and then you have to react to what others do, and to dice, and to random and different kind of thing, right? It's not only creating stories in my mind; it's creating experience. Like when you say like we're creating those memories of things that actually didn't happen, right? But it's true. It's how it feels because you're immersed, you're in your character. Like you feel like what it was to be this guy in that situation, And yeah, that's some
Absolutely. Yeah.
great answer for that. Like I think you're touching on a lot of like good stuff there. But
It
the
is
collective
my,
aspect has been that.
I was going to say, it is my greatest personal challenge is that I have folks who watch my campaigns and they go, oh, this is such a great story. This is really cool. And then they say, where's your novel? And I go, I can't do it. I start writing, but because it's just me, I kind of get bored. The story doesn't surprise me. It doesn't change me. It doesn't challenge me. I'm just dumping stuff down.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. I'm like, but my whole career is about telling creative stories. No, it's about working with people to create an experience that is a story.
But that's
it's
why
like,
role-playing games are games.
yes.
And writing story, it's work.
Yes.
We often say that the story is just the byproduct of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you're not trying to make a story; it just happens.
It happens.
You're
The
in
story.
it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
They're discovered story in a sense, right? Or
It is,
and
yeah.
almost, and sometime when you're doing it right, they feel like they're lived story,
Yes.
right? And that's the
Yeah.
experience part.
Yeah.
The stakes are there and the conflicts real. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get emotionally aligned with your character, invested.
Yeah.
And what is one thing that you would like to see changed in the hobby? Something that you say, like, I know this direction or this thing people do, I'd like to see less.
You know, the thing that I would like to see, maybe this is just selfish, but I look at my growth with role playing, and it wasn't just how to interact with other people or reading the table. It was doing research on castle design, on medieval siege equipment, on reading history books on every subject out there. And I wish that people would, if there was one big change, would have that same journey, because it has certainly empowered my creativity, having read all these kinds of different books on history. To be able to come up with inspiration is just, well, I just need to think about an incident, what was happening in 1576. Let me go do some research and see and go, oh my God, there was this going on and there was going on. I think the biggest thing that I would like to see is people being a bit more invested in self-development through putting in a bit of research, putting in a bit of effort, and less interested in just being given stuff, just give me the adventure, just give me the monster stat blocks, just give me the plot intrigue. I'm like, yes, you can have all of that, but just spend an hour and get lost in Wikipedia and you would be amazed at what you will discover, and that knowledge lives with you forever. Right.
Some really cool videos that you put out are like you go on a lot of trips. I know you travel a lot, and then you'll go to these castles, obviously, and you'll like explore and like talk about the architecture. It's like, this is this type of castle. This is what happened here. This is the battle that happened here, and those are always super interesting. And the fact that you kind of tie, it's almost like you're tying every experience you have into the idea of like, how could this be a story? And
right,
your passion really just really shows a lot.
Yeah. One of the sort of the, how can I say it? One of the greatest sort of joys I've had is I've been running games at an event called D&D in a Castle, which I've now done for 5 years, somewhere around there, 4 or 5 years. And it was in this castle, which when I first arrived, I went straight to the reception desk and I said, can you give me is there a book on the history of the castle? Because it's 600 years old. Can you give me a book on the history of the castle? And they went, he opened up a drawer and he pulled out a single A4 page and he went, we got this off of Wikipedia. And it was a 4 or 5 paragraphs on this castle, and I read it, and it didn't do any justice to the history of the castle or the area. And so I just started to put together my own history of it, and started to just tell guests what I had been discovering, and the castle organizers, the D&D guys. I was like, well, this happened over there, and that's why this is here. And what ended up happening was every time I was at the castle, I would then give a 1-hour history tour of the castle. And people would come on the tour, and I'm like, oh, and this room is because, this particular lord, well, he kind of caused the last successful invasion of England, and this is what happened here, and this is what this caused. And it was just because I was interested in doing it. Mm-hmm. And then they reached out to me and they said, okay, well, we're going to take the guests to Durham Cathedral, which is this spectacular cathedral. Can you also give a history tour on the cathedral? I'm like, well, I haven't done any research on it. I'm not a historian, but absolutely, I'll go and do it. And so I gave this history tour on the cathedral. And one of the players wrote me a message, and he said, I'm actually friends with the head of the cathedral. Would you like to have lunch with him the next time you're up in County Durham? And so we're going to do that in April. And it's all because I just wanted to know one little piece of history. Now I'm going to be sitting with the rector of Durham Cathedral, having lunch, chatting about the history of this 1,000-year-old cathedral. And it's like, those are doors that you don't even think are even a thing. Mm-hmm. You just start exploring. And so if you said to me, run a game right now in a medieval cathedral, I've got 50 different options to choose from in terms of coming up with a baseline story. Mm-hmm. And one of them involves slaves being sold to America, which is what happened in Durham Cathedral. And you're like, huh? What do you mean slaves were sold to America from Durham Cathedral? The Durham Cathedral is in the middle of North England. How does this have anything to do with slaves? It wasn't just slaves. It was Scottish slaves being sold to America. I'm like, there were Scottish slaves being sold to America? This is not something that I even expected. And yet it is a little piece of that history.
That's so interesting.
Wow.
That's like this curiosity, like it fill your well from which you can draw for like in your game and stuff like that. And you find those little detail, right? Like when people like just look at the big picture, the big line, and don't care, just the game, and just make up stuff. And like that's also I'm very similar to it, because like those little random fact you can go picked on, right? Mm-hmm. It makes so many things in history are driven by little detail, little incident here and there that you miss if you just look at it, if you don't dig in stuff, right? Yeah. Similarly, like I'm a big fan of self-development. I'm also like big on the physical side of things, obviously. And I like to encourage people, like, go, like you're gonna play this fighter and stuff like that. So you need to use your body sometime as well, right? You need to understand how it works, understand how it feels like when you're very tired. You literally cannot put a feet, like, people say that, oh, I work hard, I'm tired, and stuff like that. That's an argument I often have with people. Like I would work in the office and they say like, oh, I'm so tired, I work hard. I said, you worked hard? Go dig a ditch 2 feet by 2 feet, 4 feet deep, then come back to me.
Yes.
you understand, like, working hard, right? But yeah, like, so yeah, learning about history, but also like we play those characters, we play in those worlds, and if we want them to feel real, we need to understand the real world in a sense. We need to have like something to draw, and then like from there we can stray. But there's no really question there. Just like I just like your answer, so I wanted to riff of it.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I was a big and I hated the idea of doing live action role playing, of doing a LARP. Because I'm like, well, why would I want to go and run around a field? I can just do that around the table and roll dice. And I grew up in South Africa, and then LARPs in South Africa, no one is wearing plate mail armor. Everyone is wearing bright foam colored armor. And that's mainly because of a temperature issue. You can't wear plate mail when it's 42 degrees Celsius. You will die. So you kind of go for the next best. And I I saw it as just being, I don't know. And then a friend of mine, thankfully, and she's still a good friend of mine, she convinced me to go and do one. And what an amazing physical learning experience. Because as you say, you want to leopard crawl with all of your armor, and this armor is made out of foam. It weighs nothing. Your swords don't weigh anything, but they get stuck on bushes and rocks, and try and be silent. You know, it's a completely different experience. And it, as you said, it is just fills up your well of creativity, and it removes that work. Oh, I have to think hard about what was going to happen to a peasant in a field. No, you don't. If you've gone out there and just trudged through a muddy field or dug a ditch, you know exactly what that peasant feels like. There's no work involved.
And also, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you seem also to be very willing to go in those like small moment of life. Like you mentioned, you talked earlier about date and stuff like that. And I like also that, right? Like I like an at game, like, and you, if you play this life with this character, it's not all action. You're not all on the time. You're not on all the time. And having those experience, and then that remind you that you just went through this traumatic thing where like a lot of people die, you get shot, like, and maybe you're a new adventurer, it's a new thing to you, people got shot, you got shot at. Sometimes you just want like to relax, you just want to be, and you can have like those, like, I like those slice of life sessions sometimes where not much happen, and sometimes this is also where you find your next trouble or your next motivation for the next trouble. And that, I think, like, having those experience in life allow you to remember that as well, right? Like you say, like, well, you know, I remember when I had to walk 20 miles because my car broke down in the middle of nowhere, and now, like, like the next day I remember how I felt, and I was all, you know. So just flesh out those characters. Like, you need to flesh out your life.
You weren't eager for another 20-mile mountain hike in plate armor?
No. No. Do it once and then you change your life. You change a few things in your life.
I need to rest for a month.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, because you want those characters to be consistent with themselves, and like you want to talk about like a bit of your character process when you create a new character?
When I'm creating, I very seldom create characters. I very seldom play them. Having said that, yeah, it's not that I don't like playing as a character, because it can be fun. It's just not as I don't think it's as challenging for me. And I don't mean that in terms of, oh, it's so easy to create characters, it's not a problem whatsoever. What I mean is that the challenges of being a character are almost too restrictive. Whereas being the GM, you're juggling a whole bunch of things up in the air, a whole bunch of different characters, and you get to explore the ones that are of immediate interest. Whereas once you've created a character, there is a hyper focus there. I think my personal brain doesn't like just focusing on one aspect. But when I create, sorry,
like, you probably wouldn't differ that much from the color or the
right, the co-gas, yeah,
co-gas, yeah. Because like basically when you're a GM, you create character, like, you know, you create NPC or you create PCs. Oftentimes they're like, when you to flesh out the personality and stuff like that. Like, we're not talking about like putting the number on the paper. That's one thing just for the guy, right? Like,
yes,
creating a character that's not fitting the character sheet. It's
absolutely, absolutely. And I whenever I pre-generate characters for games and things, I will sometimes send the characters to a friend of mine, and I will say to them, this is the personality of the character, this is their history, this is why I've given them these stats and these skills and these things. What are they like to play as an actual character mechanically? Because I'm terrible with that sort of mechanical advantage building kind of thing. And this friend of mine, he'll go, well, it's an interesting character, but you could get an extra +6 to damage if you just changed that feat with this feat, and you could get this, and you could get that, and you could get the next thing. And there is a balance, right, between having a mechanically good character and having a narratively interesting character. I generally tend to err more on the narratively interesting side, because NPCs are not designed to win. They're designed to be overcome, and they're designed to have mistakes and flaws, and it's fine because you're not going to be them for a long time. But player characters that they might be interesting to play, but if mechanically they're so far behind everybody else, that in itself can be actually quite disruptive to the game, because you're letting the other players down who've built strong characters, because they have to now compensate for you're there, but you're not actually mechanically contributing. So, yeah.
So I'm the same as you. I'll make like a crap character, and then I'll be like, oh, I had a +1. Oh, that's my thing. Though. And like, well, at least I know some lore skills or something.
Right.
But I think also it's very group dependent, right? Like yes. In our group, you can come to the table with a crap character. Nobody's gonna give you shit for
sure.
it. Like, because like if the character is interesting, that's good enough for us, right? It doesn't need to be good at.
Yes. And it does depend, as you say, on the group. I mean, I created just as a sort of an example, I created a changeling character so they could change their form, right? And my thinking was, well, this species, if you can change your form and you have decided that you're going to be a biped, you're going to fit in with the humans and the elves, you can have one of two approaches. Either you can be arrogant and assume that because you can take on different shapes, you have more knowledge and more understanding of how the universe works, and so you will then tell people how the universe works. Or you realize that because there are so many different forms and so many different shapes, that you do not possibly have the capacity to know what it's like to be stuck as a human or as an elf. And so you don't make any decisions. You're much more interested in seeing how they make decisions. And I went with that route of, well, my changeling can change shape. So they are not aligned to any specific morality. They're not the leadership type, because they're not about leading. They're about understanding. And I'm an elf now. So what does it mean to be an elf? I'm not going to tell an elf how to be an elf. I want the elf to show me.
Just a full chameleon.
Yeah, full chameleon, because that's what your species can do, right?
That's cool.
The two players I were with were both, as people, neither of them were natural leaders, and their characters weren't leaders either. And so no one was making a decision. Because my changeling was going, well, hey, you're the two humans. If we go into the sewers and the grate closes, I will just change into a rat or a mouse and move through. You guys will starve to death. I have no stake in this game. What do you want to do? Do you want to go down the passageway, or don't you want to go down the passageway? But then neither of them were willing to commit on behalf of the other one. So you have this character, and you have players who really want to play together, but the mentality of the table is not there, right? And the moment I created a character who was like, oh, I'm taking decisions and we're moving forward, then the group worked beautifully, and we had a great time. So I think that's part of the hobby, right? I beg your pardon?
I said these players, Guy.
I mean, players are players, but that's the joy of the game, is that there are so many levels to it. It's not just tokens on a board. It's not just the story. It's not just the people sitting around the table. It's all of these things that need to come together like an orchestra. And when they do come together, it's mind-blowing magic, right? And I think that's a joy.
Yeah. Should we hit the wheels?
Yes. Let's since we're like talking about like creativity and stuff like that, let's do our little
Be
creative
creative.
segment here.
Yeah.
So time for the exposition. Woo! There you go.
Thank you for
Where
your
we
polite chuckle once again.
so
Uh,
here's what we do. We're gonna roll our wheel, and we're working together, collaboratively creating something random, right?
Okay.
As you can see, it can be like an NPC antagonist, a monster, a fantasy race, a culture. We try to do something new that hasn't been seen. We put them some spin. So we're gonna roll to see what we're creating,
Here
and
we
then we're
go.
gonna have like some theme
And then there's going to
to
be
it.
2 flavors.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I know what it's going to be. It's going to be a PC because that's how the dice.
Oh my gosh, are you calling it right?
Oh, maybe.
Are you moonshot? No, looks like
It's gonna be a monster.
All right, so close to a PC.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
in a lot of ways, yes. And
now the flavors of this is
Ah.
like the theme of the story or the theme of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
So monster.
so in the context in which this monster should
There's
exist.
2 of them. You roll twice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some horror thing.
Horror. Okay.
Okay, and or dark. You get to choose. Or
Yeah.
what do
Oh
we?
wow. A
Do we-
double
oh,
dark.
Or is it dark horror?
So I guess we're not gonna mix two. We're just gonna do like something like some kind of horror monster or something like fairly dark, right?
Guy, how do you feel about that guy?
Dark horror monster.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's an interesting one. They're doubling down.
I guess
Uh,
so.
Hmm.
It's the second week in a row that it's the second show in a row that we double down on the
I wonder
team.
if the wheels
Like,
broke.
Yeah, sometimes we try. We like to have like mix
Randomness
something.
of
Yeah.
the red-based wheel. Right up.
Yeah,
Right. Right. Yeah. Well,
Weighted.
I mean, the dice will do what the dice will do, and very seldom is it what we want them to do.
Guys, unfortunately.
so now like okay. So it's gonna be something dark, something horrific, something in the horror setting, I guess.
Mhm.
So we have to work for the monster. So what kind of monster would it
We
be?
usually
Is it
let
like
the
a physical
guest
monster.
Hmm.
start
Yeah.
us on our rails.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just here to be like a bit of the guide.
Yeah. A dark horror monster. Well, I think what we need to do is
Can I
We need-
take a pause real quick and just throw props to Guy one more time?
Yes.
Because I have basically used everything you've ever done. Like as far as like there's this creature that you made that's like the super fat lady who's like the big bad. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
I have used that creep. I've used that creature. It's great. My players love that thing. Anyways,
There you go.
Well, there we go. Oh, all right. So, dark horror monster. I would say that in order to create horror and in order to create darkness, we need to put it in a space that is not the norm. So if I look at like Ravenloft is about vampires and zombies and werewolves and stuff. So if you throw in a giant zombie or a giant werewolf into a werewolf zombie space, that's not horror, that's normal,
okay.
right? So we need to put this into a different space.
So we got to go with the horror in a horror.
Well, what would be horrific within a horror space?
Yeah.
Right? Would that be something that is absolutely normal?
Mhm.
Would that be the innocent little child? We've seen this so many times in horror films, right? Chucky.
She's always
where
wearing white. She's got the hair in front
right.
of her face.
Sure. Absolutely. Is that the horror? Is the horror? Perhaps let's push it in a different direction. What if? And again, all these ideas I'm coming up with, I'm like, oh, we've seen that. We've
Stuff.
we've seen all these things, but we can draw from them. If we're going to make something truly horrific, what if the horror is this something, we can figure it out, that causes the PCs to want to stay where they are. So the horror normalizes the PCs into the environment. I don't know how we're going to do this, but like, for example, in Strahd, the PCs become a vampire, right? Or they become undead. They are now normalized to that space. That, I think, could be pretty horrific. So it's like, well, maybe the PCs become normalized as slavers, or they become normalized as mass murderers, or, you know.
So the creature is making them into slavers or murderers?
Sure.
It's like a corrupting influence, right? Like some kind of like a...
It could be a corrupting influence. It could be that the creature forces the characters to become that. Like, for example, a great example of that would be the film Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, where at the end of the film, the hero is so pushed that maybe he becomes the monster at the end, right? So it could be that kind of thing where the players can see, hang on a moment, this is a bad thing and it's making us do bad things, but we can't not do it, otherwise we lose.
There's also like some writing of like Batman and Joker that are kind of in that line, right? Where the Joker want to, his goal is not to defeat Batman, is to have Batman crack and become like also a monster in a sense, right?
There we go.
I don't know why in my head I'm envisioning a neighbor.
Neighbor?
Like it's your neighbor.
It's your neighbor?
Okay.
I was thinking like the most normal thing. It's like your neighbor comes over, they're knocking on your door. There's no reason not to open the door to your neighbor.
Right. Okay.
Bad news. You just became a murderer. I don't know how.
Are you becoming like a murderer specifically, or are you becoming like the thing, you know, maybe it's something like is draining away your self-control, because we all have like some form of monster inside of us. We all have like those bad pulsions sometimes, right? And we obviously, because we're civilized people, we mostly keep them in check.
Yes.
But what if like this thing keeping them in check is slowly being drained away, right?
Yes. Okay. I think that could be really cool. Like it's almost like a passion vampire, where the more you give in to your dark side, the stronger it becomes. So it wants you to give in to the dark side.
Does it do it whispers? Is there like a whispering influence, or is that too tropey?
Or he just talk to you with his big smile, and he's just like, you know, just like those bad advice, right? Like you say, oh man, just enjoy yourself. You just have sometimes you just have to do what you have to do, right? It's like you gotta make it very friendly.
They give you like all these backhanded compliments. It's like, oh, that's an interesting dress. Isn't that
yeah, like if you're pushing, like, you know, if you're struggling with your weight and you're trying to control yourself, but now like, oh, you know, sometimes want such a treat once in a while, it's not that bad. But like that become like an earworm, and now like for some reason you manage to that drain away your self-control. Would that be?
So I like I like those ideas in terms of the whispering, but I suspect if you have players and you're saying, oh, you're hearing this whispering, you know, stab that person, or that person's going to stab you, they're evil, there is going to be a natural pushback.
Yeah.
The way perhaps to get around it, and certainly players will be suspicious, is what if the players don't even know that they're being manipulated into becoming these? So the monster is a doppelganger or something that can become the innocent victim. Those bad men burnt my house down, and they're going to go and burn somebody else's house down. The players go off and kill the bad men. You've done such a great and wonderful thing. And then, oh, by the way, the bad men's children are now going to starve to death because they actually weren't bad men. They were good men, but now the kids are going to die and the family's going to run out of money or what, so it's almost like an entrapment type of thing. And it's like, well, now you've killed those bad men. And now, unfortunately, there's the guards that are coming to arrest you because you committed murder. And if you don't kill the guards, you're going to go and get executed. So you probably have to kill the guards. And then you have to bury the bodies so that no one... I don't know. Is that...
I like where you're going with it. I think that
too dark and evil.
I think it's double dark. By the way, there's no.
Well, it's double dark. Yeah,
we're double dark.
So, but that would mean like for me, like, sorry, Phil, go ahead.
I like the idea of the monster being the victim of some circumstance, and so you have to keep her in your house. It's a little child now in my brain again, so I don't know what's going on in my brain. But it's like, and then every time someone comes to talk to you about the consequences of you helping her, she cries and holds on to you and tells you that she's scared. It's like, keep this.
I like the idea of like the monster being a doppelganger, like, and it's just like latching out to this one person and say like, I'm gonna get this one person. I'm gonna ruin his life and make him like become a monster and become like a maniac. And the way I would see it is like, yes, now he's coming as the little child. So they burned down my house, and then like you go take a vengeance, and then like the guards are coming, but he's making himself the guard and coming for you, and like and for some reason like you can fight him, you can kill him, but then like so you all have this guilt, and maybe you didn't even do anything wrong per se.
Yes.
But you got all this. He's just like playing yourself, and he's putting himself as the victim. Like I like that idea, right? And you can kill him, and he can always come back because it's not this real body.
The creature, the girl, is like an archdemon type, and so her burned down house has these like fledgling demons running around, and they're like fighting the guards, and they corrupt the guards. So it's like then you got to kill the guard, and then you're standing over this like bloody mess. And then it's like, oh, anything to protect the girl. And then it's like, because the demons are clearly trying to get to her or something like that's going on. You know what I mean? And then, that's what I think.
The one twist I would do, because there is always a risk, right? When you are trying to be this evil manipulator, is at the end of it, when the players kill the demon, because I like the idea of it being this demon thing. You go, yes, you killed the demon, but you have slaughtered 15 innocent people, burned an entire village down. You are still bad people. Because
it's a possession.
To avoid that, right? To avoid that, because that can leave a bit of a bad taste in the mouths of players and things. Because it's as the DM, you have the power to force them down those roads, right? What I would do is I would choose one of the player characters, and I would just quietly get them to make, I don't know, a charisma save or whatever the system is that you're using, get them to make some kind of mental save. And you could have it over 7 days, right? Because usually the 7 is like a
7 days.
Right, 7 days, right? So every day they have to make a saving throw. Nobody else does. But when they fail the saving throw, nothing changes. Absolutely nothing changes. However, you describe the whole scene to the table as a little girl comes rushing up, begging for help, and she needs your help, etc., etc. And you get everybody except for the player who failed. They get to make insight checks, and they get to make perception checks. And if they succeed, they get notes saying it's actually this old hag, right? Or it's this. You're getting a bad sense of this kid. So they kind of get to see what's going on, but the player the player who failed is the one who still believes that it's a kid because they don't know any different, right? What that can do, or you can do it the opposite way around. So it's just the one player and everybody else is the one player is getting the true notes and everybody else is getting the false notes. Is that creates a horrific tension within the group itself. Because when we're dealing with horror, right? it's so difficult to achieve horror at the table.
Yes.
Amen.
Because you're sitting in a nicely lit room and you're rolling dice and you're drinking Coke or whatever it is that, sitting around having a good time. So you're pretending you're in a horrific situation and you're pretending your character is terrified. But if the players have that uncertainty of they're looking at their notes going, huh? Okay, well, we're not allowed to say anything. We're not allowed to metagame. Maybe that could be our double down in terms of it's a horrific thing that's happening and it's dark because one player doesn't actually know what's going on, or 5 players don't know.
Could we lean down more on like this because I think the horrific part of that would be like the feeling of guilt and seeing yourself because yes, if we go too bluntly with the manipulation, right? People have an escape, have an out, saying, you know what, I've been manipulated by a demon, I've been a control, and it's not my agency. I think what we really need to hit is that they feel like it was their choice to do those things, and that they fail into like making their due diligence, they act rashly, and they cause trouble. Like if you want to bring the feeling of guilt in there, right? It's because that's what we're talking about. Like it's kind of like a guilt demon, right? Like a demon that would feel on guilt, or feed on guilt, or feed on seeing yourself become something you hate, in a sense. Something like
I think another way to push that is also to make the girl a victim of possession. So if you just like slay her outright, like you didn't really kill the demon, and you have like I don't know how dark we're going, but there's a child dead in my floor.
I think you're on the right path there. Yeah. So what if the demon is actually possessing the innocent people, making the innocent people do these things that the party then goes after and attacks and kills because they are rightly doing things. But just before the killing blow, the demon leaves.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there's this little girl going, what's going on? The party are like, quickly, we got an opportunity that she's disabled. Right. Do the killing blow. Right. Yeah. So in the last round of combat type of thing. Yeah. And you maybe do that once or twice, and the party will then twig that something's going on. Yeah. But the demon is getting stronger and stronger each time because they are technically killing an innocent.
As they're looting the body, they're like, is something going on here?
Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because they can be doing investigations. Why did this person suddenly start killing everyone? We don't know. They were absolutely fine before you arrived. Then you arrived and suddenly they went mad. Wait a minute. Everybody in town is losing their marbles as we arrive. We brought this thing here because the demon is not feeding off of the townsfolk. The demon is feeding off of the party.
Yeah.
Because there's probably the demon probably only feeds with somebody of an heroic type, right? Like you need to have like this heroic spark for the demon to be interested in you at all. So
yes.
Those folks, they're
either way.
Yes.
You have probably slaughtered a lot of people in town, and you're not on the happy-go-lucky king's list.
No, because the townsfolk will also start to turn on you. This party arrived, our people started going mad, and then the party started killing everybody. We think the party is involved. So then there's that wonderful...
For me, like the horror part in that would like, I think, and I don't know how we can do that. Like it's something that's very hard to do, and that's I think maybe why it's worth trying to do. It's like, how do you bring the consequence of this action to an internal of the character? Like sending the guards, saying another people are mad at you, that's external. You can deal with that. But I think like the real horror is in the self-hatred.
Sure.
How do we bring that home, right?
Farscape's idea. So basically, because the demon has sipped off of everyone's essence, there is an echo of the demon inside of everyone's mind, and they're always like telling you, but you're conscious of it. It's just like giving you advice. It's like, well, you can't be captured here. You need to kill these guys. And then it's like, maybe it gives power once in a while. You're just like kind of succumbing to its influence as you tap into it or something like that. But they're just like following you around.
Well, now that I think is going to help solve the problem, right? So to get the PCs to feel real guilt, this is a long game demon. I would have the PCs based in a village, and they start to form friendships with the NPCs, and you make the NPCs just really supportive and they're
what a happy time that sounds like.
Right? Absolutely. It's this great place. They give the PCs are going off to the mines to go and kill the goblins. Oh, well, we've packed you a lunch, and here's the romantic interest, and here's the old wise man who tells you how to get into the mine shaft and avoid the, et cetera, et cetera.
I've always thought he was my son.
Right? Yeah. We think of you as our own now. We've given you a little house of your own rather than having to pay in the inn or whatever, right? So the first adventure and the second adventure is just building up the townsfolk. And then I think that would make it more interesting when suddenly the barmaid grabs the cleaver and cuts the head off of the barman and then attacks the party. It's like, no, but you've just killed Bob, the barman, and wait, what are you doing? And then she's attacking. They're going to fight back. And again, we have that last moment where she suddenly looks up and goes, wait, what? And the party just cut her down. Right?
That's
but then when the townsfolk start to turn, I love the idea of then having that demon in the party's minds going, I've been with you for quite some time, and you are in a very bad place. If you just kill the sheriff, I'll make all of the bad things go away. So you then start to juggle self-preservation with doing the right thing. And if the PCs say no, the demon goes, all right, well, that's not my problem. Goes and, infests the little old lady. She starts attacking the PCs. So the demon is literally forcing them to either accept his deal and turn into cold-blooded murderers, or to try and figure out a way of getting rid of this demon.
And it's like when they don't take his deal, he just picks a victim for you to slay again. You're just leaving another innocent dead on the floor because you didn't want to do something that was such a little task.
There we go. You choose, or one of them dies randomly.
It's so smart to not tell people it's a horror game. And just we have this really great, happy Act 1.
Right.
It's I'm slaying everyone. We talked about that.
Well, I think that would be the long con, is that you go in going, hey guys, this is a dark game. We're doing Call of Cthulhu or whatever. But the demon is not in the first 3 or 4 adventures. Those can be, horrific spider. We're all scared of spiders type of thing. But it is that subtle.
And then after the game, you go, is it scary enough, guys?
Do you all feel happy?
It kind of feels like a normal fighting. I mean, good descriptions, I guess. But
the one thing I would play with, if we're to go this way, and go the long con, right? The long, I think that's interesting. I would do the, sometimes when GM, I would play the gaslighting aspect, right? Basically, when GM sometimes they're gonna put a quest from you. Oh, this guy's a bad guy, and then you complete the quest, and then you put a twist in it like that. And then sometimes that's abuse, right? Oh no, it was just the barmaid. It was just the blacksmith. What you thought is the bad guy, the actual bad guy told you that the blacksmith was the bad guy because you wanted to kill him, and now you did the bidding of the. And this is this has been often done, and it can be frustrating for player. But if you I would lean very much into that, right? So you have this happy town, the player well established there, but there's some issue. It's still a place, right? So it's still a place with some problem, and they're doing those quests, and you do this twist of oh yeah, but you were just doing unknowingly, you were doing the bidding of the bad guy, and then the next quest with some and then maybe you resolve this bad guy, and then oh no, unknowingly you were doing the bidding of a bad guy, and you double down and double down and double down on it, and no, what the and this gaslighting, and everybody in town pretending that the last thing that the thing you did before didn't exist, or you were doing right, or depending on whatever make you really putting you in insane that you don't know what's good and wrong and what's good or bad anymore. You did all those things, and you I guess maybe some of them were good, some of them weren't good. Who knows? Probably none of it was.
You've got it there. You've got it there. So as these things are happening, the townsfolk need to be supporting the PCs even more.
Yes.
It's oh, don't feel bad. Yes, you did kill the barman, but we know secretly he was probably evil. But you know who else I think, so what happens is the demon basically is going, I don't have to cause you to kill anybody else. The townsfolk and paranoia and their own sense of self-preservation will be pointing fingers at everybody else.
Yeah.
And if the PCs are going and following those leads, well, now they're following leads based on supposition and rumor and mob terror rather than the demon having to be active.
That would work especially well if you have a group that is like kill first, look for proof later, right? Because now like you kill the guy that you've been convinced was a bad guy. Now when you look, well, everything pointed, it was just like a normal guy living his life, right? There's nothing shady there. Oh man, you got tricked.
Yeah.
So now you go back to the guy that told you to kill this bad guy, and you get rid of him. But then like no, there's nothing there again, right? So
he wasn't.
You kind of like. But the town folks are always like, no, man, you're just trying to help us. There's problem in this town. Like, you're trying to make it better.
We do need to have some mechanism, some moment where the PCs can unravel or get a glimpse of what's going on. And then we need that aha moment.
Yep.
And when I say we need that aha moment, we're not going to enforce that. We're not going to interject it, but we need to think more from, all right, you're a demon. You're feeding off the guilt of others. And the way you do that is that you make them feel comfortable with the surrounding people. And then you start building paranoia and you start building this tension boiling pot so you can watch good people kill innocent people and then feel guilty about it. And that's where you're getting your energy from. But you're going to need to have a base of operation. You're going to have to be in a abandoned crypt, or there needs to be a trail that the PCs could potentially start to pick up on.
I think the big
and also
is
a way to defeat also the demon.
Sure.
Right?
Like, absolutely. Yeah.
The big clue is the demon has to feed, right? So you witnessed or your experience, because they're feeding off of you probably. You're experiencing the demon like feed off your guilt in some way, maybe through a dream or some sort of apparition, or you just feel an intense draining of you just randomly as you're thinking about that thing you did.
Or does he have a physical presence? It's like a
maybe you go to a temple or you discover that these demons are around you or something.
Yeah, I think so. So with your idea of a physical presence as well, what if it's this particular town, right?
Yeah.
And the demon is somehow tied to this town, bound to this town. And if the PCs go to the local temple or they go to the local library to try and do research on, curses or something, they can discover that this entire town murdered itself like 5 times throughout history.
I have an idea.
That's awesome.
And you feel free to shut it down. Maybe there's some like kind of like motif in the town, right? In the decoration of the town, like people like have like those stone crow on the
right.
And for some reason the demon can see through those.
Yes.
And he always like try to like all those things, those bad things they want to make you do. They always try to coerce you in doing them in front of one of those. Like, so there's a few of them around town, and you always.
And some of the more guilt-ridden guys are over there like carving statues of crows. They're like, why is everyone making these crows? They're trying to like set them up on their houses and stuff.
So what creature uses like deception or a lure? And the only thing I can think of is those anglerfish, right, where they bounce the lure light to then catch little fish.
First thing I thought of was octopus because they got the super camera. So I don't know.
Yeah. Are there like also like those predators that like mimic like cry of babies and stuff like that, right? Like
who does? Are you telling?
I don't know, like
skinwalkers.
No, like like or so. I don't know, like there's some like some. I don't know. I remember it's a vague memory. Maybe just like I'm thinking of something else. Maybe
type of bird.
Type of bird, yeah.
I know eagles sound like smaller than they are, but I don't see eagle as a symbol of
No, they're not trying to
because
lure.
that's what I'm looking for. Is if these statues are around, it would be great if the statue was some kind of predatory animal that uses a lure or a falsehood.
But also, like, maybe you don't want to make it too obvious either.
Oh, I don't think. Yeah.
We could go like the because we could also go the way like making something like very folksy that just seem just like a local tradition. They could be like garden gnome, right, or whatever.
It's the freaking garden gnomes. I knew it.
The demon is actually a garden gnome.
But they're like they look like traditional garden gnome, but like they have grotesque face like that or different. Like oh, just the style of the place. No, just like it's a tradition we have. We're making those clay garden gnomes.
Yes.
I kind of like the idea of it being like a small and unassuming thing because that kind of implies that there's something bigger and like worse.
And I love the idea. Yes. I love the idea of it could be a little let's go with garden gnome, right? It's a little effigy thing. And whether it's on the roof or whether it's in a little alcove in the wall of each of the village huts, if the players ask anybody what the hell are those things, the answer should just be, well, we've always done it, right? But if you really want to know more, you can go and speak to old man what's his face. He lives, in the cottage at the edge of town. And when the PCs get there and old man what's his face has murdered himself, he's hung himself, right? Something horrific, something dark, because the demon made him do it because he doesn't want to share that information.
It's riddled with guilt.
It feels like a bit of a dead end. And even if he writes a letter going, I'm so sorry, I confess, I let the girl drown because I was too afraid to swim in the river. It's my fault. So we can even kind of put it in the PC's faces. They will never for a moment think that there is a guilt demon running around. They might think that there's someone who's forced this confession, or they might just read it as a confession and go, okay, that's weird. Right, we're going to go and kill kobolds in a mine. That's what you want, because you're just planting these little seeds. And then it's the festival of the gnomes where you get to confess your guilt, right? And so there's
little trinkets on necklaces around people's necks. They got the trinket on them.
Yeah,
everyone's getting decked out on demon gear.
It's always the same grotesque face that they put on those gnomes, like very, very identical. And if they venture out in the wood a bit outside, there's a gap in the soil where like there's this big rock with the exact same face, but like huge and
naturally appearing there.
Naturally appearing there.
Right.
And maybe that's like the village have been like built next to this like demon that is like stuck in the land, and his face is sticking out, and he's sending his corrupting influence.
Oh,
maybe
wow.
That's the way to do it.
So
maybe that's the solution to.
Some 95-year-old hermit doesn't talk to anyone because he thinks everyone's corrupted. He's just like maintaining the glyph or whatever, keeping the demon at bay. But it's just like leeching through.
I mean,
I got to think of like some way for them to know there's a demon.
When there's
a festival, like the people of the town, and for some reason, the PCs are super well integrated in the town and stuff like that. For a while, but when come the festival, for some reason they're not invited.
Yes.
And all the villager now, they go to the woods where this big face is, and now like part of the ritual, like they all take all the moss and the ivy and they clean the face. They put some candle around, and they stay there for a night. And then
there might be some bloodletting. I don't know.
Yeah,
bloodletting.
Yeah. And you've solved your own problem with how do they defeat this demon. There's got to be an entranceway around that giant stone face that leads to the demon's prison. But every 150 or 200 years, the demon starts to escape from the prison. And that's why he can then cause everyone to commit these horrific crimes and do guilt and do bad things. And so when the PCs eventually get underneath to where this demon is in prison, they can then defeat the demon or re-imprison him or release him or whatever.
What if like there's no real way to defeat a demon, but you just have to bury the face deep enough, and over time with erosion, it's gonna come back.
There we
So you know,
go.
and now like the spell
All
is
you
gonna be
can
cast,
do
but
is
like at some
reset the
point,
cycle. Yeah.
yeah, you just it's the best you can do.
And there is your ritual. There's bloodletting, and part of
Yeah,
that bloodletting is you bleed on the stone, and then you have to take a handful of that soil home with you. So
mm,
you are uncovering the demon every
yeah,
time you are doing the ritual. You're making him stronger by not putting blood on the stone. That's the red herring. It's by taking that soil home and maybe carve or maybe sculpting the horrific little
Evolving it into
amulet
its
face that
natural.
you then wear around your neck.
So
so now the demon has kind of two motivation, like he's feeding of this guilt, but also he needs to make sure that he doesn't get covered, buried enough, because then his power
Yes.
cannot go to dirt for
Yes.
some reason.
Yes.
That's his
Yeah.
limitation. It's prison.
nailed it.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I
Nailed
There
think
it.
we
that's good.
go.
There you go. It's an old seed for adventure now from this monster.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A whole bunch of adventures.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
sorry about your immediate family slash loved one slash adopted child that we just
Oh, yeah. Oh,
killed
yeah.
inadvertently in our story. But that
Wow.
was awesome,
Well,
guy.
yeah. Thank you very much again for joining us.
No, thank you.
People, go look How to Be a Great GM, the YouTube channel. You got a new podcast now.
Mhm.
And well, a new live stream, I guess, Castleman.
That's right. Yeah.
Guy, I
any
got a question for you.
Yeah.
oh, there you go.
Did you
Yeah.
have fun?
I did. I mean, how could we not have fun creating this demon thing? It's like my only problem now is how am I going to build it into one of my games, right? So anyway,
Max, did you have fun?
I did have fun. Yeah. Great talk. Very
Mm.
interesting. And you, Phil, you have fun?
I had fun. That's all that
There
matters.
you go.
that's all that matters.
All right. So thank you again, Guy. And I'll put the link to your stuff in the description below for people who are watching. And now, because like normally we do those things live, but now because like guys in the UK and the time is a bit hard, this interview section is pre-recorded. But we're gonna play it during the live show nonetheless. And I should be putting also the link in the chat now.
I
Maybe.
intend to be
Maybe
wearing,
not. We'll see.
I intend
That's
to be
gonna
wearing
work.
a different shirt.
Okay.
I'm gonna like really throw you guys off.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Thanks.
And back to the
Really
regular programming, I
huge.
guess. Yeah. Thank you. I'm ending the recording for this interview part now.
Sure.
And there we go. We're back. So, and Phil failed at making sure to put the link in the in the chat. Phil, you're muted.
Wow. I thought
There
you were
you go.
doing the link. You said I'm putting it in the chat.
Yeah, but then you said I'll make sure to for it to be done. So,
Sorry.
so but the link is in the description of the show if you're looking. So it's
There
at
you
least
go.
that.
I didn't
It's
wear the
only a
same
partial
shirt.
failure.
Also, I didn't
Mhm.
wear the same shirt, so I'm wearing a different shirt.
Yeah.
So the verisimilitude of our podcast has been compromised.
Yeah.
Just a few quick notes on the interview.
Oh.
Just because we didn't talk about it, OGAS. It
Yes.
stands for Occupation, Goal, Attitude, and Stakes. It's a really good, quick way to create an NPC. And one other thing is, I think it's cool how we ended up kind of solving horror a little bit. I thought. What'd you think? Do you think we solved it?
I think I love what we got in the end there. Like I think it was a very cool like creation.
Yeah,
Like, all those like this explosion thing. I think they're all banger so far.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it's a very fun segment. Thank you
Well,
for bringing that up.
yeah. Well, let's rock our
Yes.
wheels.
Yeah, there you go. Here we go again.
Here we go
It's the time
again.
for the Wheel of Rent. And oops, I need to take off the image now.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
You want me to hit it? Do I hit it?
No, I do it.
Oh,
I need to remove this one.
not that
and this
one.
one. There you go.
And then boom.
There you go.
Easy.
And
And then oh,
so yeah, so as you know, this is
we don't
what
have.
we
We
do.
usually have a guest when we do this, but it's just going to be you
Yeah,
and me. I guess we'll have to put it on our shoulders this time.
yeah.
What do you think we're going to get? Oh,
Who knows?
safety tools. Oh, how to speed up
Oh,
combat.
how to speed up combat. There you
What?
go.
How do you speed it up?
How to speed it up?
Yeah.
First, okay, there's a few tricks to speed up combat.
Oh, fine.
You know,
Okay, good.
yeah. First, as a GM, you need to talk less. And the first thing to cut, narrating the turn of your players. The players told you what they do. You don't have to re-spin it in your own words, right?
Mhm.
Just say what happened. If the other thing is cutting the turn by committee, when come your turn, you don't play hypothetical, right? You don't do like you don't test drive turns. You say what you do. You say where you are. You say what you do. You say what you say. And oh,
Fire
thank you,
trumpet.
Maya Trumpet, for that. And I would say finally the last one would be to get rid of the VTT
Hmm.
or the maps. Embrace the scrum of combat. Like you shouldn't like ask question out of character. If you don't know what everything is, that's part of the experience of being in combat. You're in a scrum, things are going fast, it's chaos, there's the fog of war, so you do your best, right? And if you take an action, if you try to take an action and it wasn't quite right, the GM is going to describe what happened, right? You tried something, your character was a bit confused. So I think those are the big three that I would say like would speed up your combat quite a bit.
Good answers. I would say, why are you playing a role-playing game? Are you, in fact, trying to play a tactical war game, or are you playing an immersive role-playing game? If you're playing a tactical war game and you find that you wish combat was faster, why? The whole point of the game is to do the combat. So, what are you actually trying to do? If you find that the combat's too slow, you probably should lean more into the role playing game. So, that means staying in character and narrating your action, and then probably switching systems into something that's a little bit more easy and less talking about the tactics and
Mhm.
numbers and counting dice and pips and all that crap. I would recommend you try a role playing game.
System selection will make an impact for sure. There's
Yeah.
some games that if you play like by the book, especially like the combat is going to be much slower. When you deal with big bag of it point that you have to chip away turn after round. Yes, that is going to be slow, uh, but it
There
is
you go.
part of the. There's another say we have fast combated Pathfinder, so it's
I
insane.
gotta
So
watch
definitely
this Pathfinder game. Every time you guys talk about it, I say that to my in my brain. But we'll see how y'all and Tyler do it.
yep.
You guys might be the brains that can handle it.
Yeah.
So
So there you go. So those wheel of rants, right? It's like they're
there we
topics
go.
that always come back on
There
in
it is.
the in the RPG tube, right? So
Mhm.
now we try to solve them once and for all, and well,
Nailed
at
it.
least until like they show up on the wheel again. Yeah. So now you don't have to worry
I
about.
already know you had fun, Max, but did you have fun today? 'Cause that was like a week
Yes,
ago.
except that I was sick.
I was too. I got hot
But
in the middle of the video, so I took off all my
yeah,
clothes
yeah,
and then
no.
I put a shirt back on. So
You took the beanie
you're welcome,
off.
audience.
You took the beanie off. Now the illusion is off. It's broken
Yeah, I was
you,
bald.
the whole time.
Um, yeah, I I feel like we're saying our goodbyes here. I just want to say thank you so much to Guy
Yeah.
Sclanders for being on our show. Our
Yes.
modest little show had an awesome discussion with him.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. I'm always grateful. Um, We're gonna be back in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Uh, Most likely back on a Saturday or regular time. And we'll see about who's gonna be the guest. We'll probably know
Yeah.
you'll know in advance because we will no they're no secret, right? We
Hmm.
announce them when we get them, but uh, I'll try to secure that this week. And thank you, Phil, for joining me in that.
I'm bucking for a world leader this next one.
Yeah, we're trying to get like a
See if
Vladimir
we can,
Putin.
we'll see if we can parlay Guy Sclanders into. I mean, he spoiled it. Putin.
Yeah,
We'll see.
that's what we heard that he was like he played D&D when he was young. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's true. Might just be a rumor.
He
So we're
gets
gonna try to find him
tired
out.
of GMs telling him how he thinks and feels. So we'll
Yeah,
see if he wants to talk about that.
but it,
Yeah,
we might not succeed for
we
the
might.
next show.
We'll
But
see.
we're working on it slowly. We're trying to climb the ladder to get to that.
And that was a
Thank you for
big
people.
rung. Guy was a big rung on that ladder.
Yeah,
So thanks, Guy.
yeah.
Anyways,
Thank you for the people that watch the show live. Thank you for people that are gonna watch on the replay. Again, thank you, Phil, and especially thank you for Guy Sclandler for joining us. And we'll see you next time. I hope you all had fun.
God bless. Take care.
Take care.